Hello everyone, I Gaurav Singh welcomes you once again here. Today we will study about the era of one party dominance, that is the second chapter of your political science NCRT. The name of your book is Politics in India Since Independence. Okay, so as we know about the syllabus is also cut down by the CBSC because of COVID-19 pandemic situation. So we will try to cover all the aspects and the syllabus in a very efficient manner. But before that, I try to make you understand what is era of one party dominance. Here we will study about the one party dominance. As we are studying political science, in that first of all, the democracy is very vast term which is used here. In that, it is very much clear what is democracy, and the role of the people in the democracy plays a very crucial role. Understood? So, you now have an idea of the difficult circumstances in which independent India was born. It's very much clear. And you have read about the serious challenges of nation building that confronted the country right in the beginning. Are you getting my point? मीन्स जो आज़ादी के बाद जो स्थिति थी भारत की, उससे आप भलीभूत रूप से आप परिचित हैं. समझ में आ रही है हमारी बात? सो in that the nation building and confronted of the country right in the beginning, so faced with such serious challenges, leaders in many other countries of the world decided that their country could not afford to have democracy. Means whatever was the circumstances that was not favoring to the leaders, that they can sustain, they can afford the democracy pattern in their country. Okay, so for that purpose, it was a very great challenge which were faced by the most of the leaders. Understood? Now, so first was that how individual can participate in the building of the nation or building of the democracy. So first was there must be a representative. For that purpose there were set up of what? Election Commission of India, that is ECI. Understood? In that, they tried to sort out the challenges of building democracy by conducting the election. And it was very much fortunate that Sukumar Sen was the first election commissioner who appointed as an election commission first time in India. So India's vast size and low literacy rate and some other things like population, religious diversity, language barriers or linguistic problems, and the religion, reason, and the area all were the very vast challenges to hold general election in 1952. Despite being it was created by the January 1915, the Election Commission of India. Understood? So the condition in India were not very different, but the leaders of the newly independent, understood, India decided to take the more difficult path. Okay, any other path would have been surprising for our freedom struggle. Okay, was deeply committed to the idea of democracy. Understood? So these were the challenges, and because of that, it was very difficult for them to Election Commission of India to conduct the election, because multiple challenges were there, which was not possible to sort out within month or a year. Okay, it was long time curation process to the Indian democracy. Okay, but it was very good thing about the Election Commission of India. Despite these challenges, the election was held successfully in 1952. So it was very great moment of the time when the election was held in 1952. Understood? Now you can see this is Sukumar Sen, the first election commission of India. He was commissioner, appointed as a commissioner, also was civil servant at the time during the British era. So he was appointed as the first election commissioner. Understood? He was basically from Bengal. So let's talk about the general election of 1951 and 52. So in that, the general election 1951-52 held from 25th October 1951 to 21st February 1952. It means November, December, January, February. It means 4 1 month, okay, duration took place to conduct the election. Okay, and it was the first election of Lok Sabha since India became independent in August 1949. It is very well known to all of you. Understood? So, this was the situation, and despite being all that adverse situation, Election Commission of India conducted election in 1951 successfully, and it was the duration of 4 months to complete the election process in India. Understood? So the Indian National Congress (INC) won, landslide victory, winning 346, you know, uh, 364 out of 489 seats, and 45% of the total votes polled. It means this was the condition this was the condition where the 45% of the votes voted or polled. Understood? So the Indian National Congress won. It was very historical achievement for them to lead as a party in the country for the first time. So Jawaharlal Nehru became the first democratically elected prime minister of the country, as he was the leader of Lok Sabha. So or also charismatic face in front of Indian National Congress. So for that purpose, he has appointed, or he has elected as the first democratically elected prime minister of India. Understood? Now you can see here, it is the map of India, atlas of India, where I tried to demarcate the situation. So here you can see that Communist Party of India. So all the color which is in the blue screen, it is about the Indian National Congress. So the seats which has been won by the Indian National Congress. So it is here with the Congress Party. But about others, so Communist Party is there. Okay, some other Social Party of India, Scheduled Caste Federation, you know, uh, Kisan Mazdoor Praja Party, Bharatiya Janasangh, Hindu Mahasabha. Many more parties were there, like Shiromani Akali Dal in Punjab, Revolutionary Socialist Party, okay, Peasants and Workers Party. So many more parties were there who contested the election in 1952 or 51. Okay, 51 to 52. So, but overall, the conclusion comes here that most of the seats and the number of the seats were 364, won by the Indian National Congress. Understood? So this was the situation. So the party had started its domination in country like India, who has first time established the democratic government. Then one more thing which I want to include here and which is there in your book. So, changing methods of voting. Understood? What was the changing methods of voting? So, in that changing methods of voting, so this was the EVM or electronic voting machine which record voters preferences, but that is not how we started. Okay, in the first general election it was decided to place inside each polling booth a box for each candidate with the election symbol of that candidate. Suppose your uh, symbol is lotus. Suppose someone is from a candidate from Bharatiya Janata Party, so their symbols are symbolize, lotus, and someone from another party like Janata Dal United, so their symbol is arrow. So it varies, and it was printed in the first election to vote. About 20 lakhs steel boxes were used for the purpose. Okay, so first time 20 lakh boxes were used for this purpose, and a presiding officer from Punjab described that how he prepared the ballot boxes. Understood? So this is some facts which is mentioned there. So this paper seal with the numerical description of the candidates signed by the presiding officer had to be inserted in the token frame and its window closed by its door, which had to be fixed its place, okay, at the other end by means of a right wire. Okay, so it means there were methods through which the first election, Lok Sabha election, were conducted. That was the ballot system. Okay, and as per the some facts, there were 20 lakh boxes, 20 lakhs boxes were used for this purpose. So the first general election, it was decided to place inside each polling booth the box for the candidate with the election symbol of that candidate. So 20 lakhs. Okay, 20 lakhs were the numbers of the boxes which were used. So by 2004, the entire country had shifted to electronic voting machine. So in 2004, the country had shifted from ballot paper to EVM, that is electronic voting machine. So see here, what is EVM? So it is electronic voting machine. Here you can see that all the candidates and their names and the symbols. Okay, and we have to praise one whomsoever want to cast the vote to any particular party, so they can press the button, and there will be some symbolic music that will be there. Okay, means that is the confirmational tone through which you can understand, yes, I have casted the vote and it has been uh, you know uh, it has been recorded there. Okay, so this was the condition. One more thing I want to add here, after the first two elections, this method was changed, and now the ballot paper carried the names and symbols of all the candidates, and the voters was required to put a stamp on the name, okay, of the candidates they wanted to vote for. This method worked for nearly 40 years. It means earlier the ballot paper was there where they can put the names, okay, but later on it is shifted that in which the stamp was using in front of the candidates, okay, and the voters they wanted to vote for. So these methods worked for the approximately 40 years. Understood? So towards the end of 1990s, the election commission started using EVM. Okay, so I have already told you in 2004, entire country had shifted to the EVM. Understood? So this was the condition of shifting of election. You can see here a cartoonist impression of the election committee, formed by the Congress to choose party candidates in 1952. The committee, besides Nehru, Morarji Desai, Rafi Ahmed Kidwai, and Dr. B.C. Roy, Kamraj Nadar, and Rajgopalachari, Jagjeevan Ram, Maulana Azad, D.P. Mishra, P.D. Tandon, and Govind Ballabh Pant. So all of them were there, okay, and they were. It is demonstrated by the, cartoonist, that the impression of the election committees formed by the Congress to choose party candidates. Okay, so some impression which comes here, that means everything was prepared by the Congress itself. Okay, so there were no selection process, because all of that thing was prepared by the Congress. Understood? This is also one of the, you can understand about the manthan, in that this is the political parties manthan. Parties, members shifting from one party to another party. So they were, choosing their desired party, or they are searching for the, chance and the luck in the party which will come into the power. Understood? So this was there. Now, in the first general, election, the Congress nominated the first three general elections, and it had many popular faces like Jawaharlal Nehru, I've already told you, C. Rajgopalachari, means Chakravarti Rajgopalachari, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and etc. Okay, I've already mentioned that. So, moreover, Jawaharlal Nehru was the charismatic and very popular leader. So, this was also one of the reasons to elect as the first Prime Minister of India. Okay, and Congress worked at upper level as well as at grassroots level. Understood? So Congress was popularized due to the participation in civil disobedience movement. It means Congress was the only party who was working very hard, okay, because there were not that much resources to control the Indian, economic, political systems and all the things. Despite being, they tried to control all the thing, okay, by the participation, by the participating after the independent India. Now, the question which comes here, what was the civil disobedience movement? So, civil disobedience movement or Sahyog Andolan. Understood? So, personalities associated with the civil disobedience movement during British India. So, he formally launched the civil disobedience movement on April 1930 by picking a handful of salt after the completion of historic Dandi march from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi. Okay, thus breaking the salt law imposed by the government. So, what were the British government imposed the law over the farmers and the merchants, okay, and the law which was made for the salt law imposed by the government. So Gandhiji worked hard and started various movement to combat the British government to Indian administrative system. So it was also one of the major problem faced by the Congress party. Understood? So that's why civil disobedience movement has been started, okay, to make some changes, to eradicate the law, to disimpose the law which was made or prepared by the British government. Understood? Then in Kerala, one more historical changes took place, and it was the first election. But in 1957, the Communist Party came into power in the world for the first time through the democratic election. So in Kerala, you know about Kerala is a state in India, okay, where in 1957 the Communist Party came to power in the world for the first time through democratic elections. This was the first state where non-Congress government was formed after independence. So it was the very first time India experienced the non-Congress uh, state after independence in India. That was Kerala. Okay, so in 1957, Communist Party came into the power in the world for the first time through democratic election. What is democratic election? Democratic election means the election in which the people's participation plays very crucial role. Understood? Now, nature of the Congress dominance. What was the nature of the Congress dominance? As you know, as you know, the result of the first general election did not surprise anyone. Why? The Indian National Congress was expected to win this election. The Congress Party, as it was popularly known, and had inherited the legacy of the national movement. Okay, so it was not surprising because uh, most of the movement has been started, and all the government uh, decisions and about the India's welfare, was all the decisions were taken by the Congress Party itself. So it was not very much surprising to all of Indians. Okay, then it was the only party then to have an organization spread all over the country. And finally, in Jawaharlal Nehru, the party had the most popular and charismatic leader in Indian politics. He led the Congress campaign and you know uh, toured through the country. Todd means he used to visited all the toured the through the country, all over the country. He visited, and he led the Congress campaign and toured through the country. When the final result were declared, the extent of the victory of the Congress did surprise many. बहुत लोगों को सरप्राइज हुआ कि कांग्रेस पार्टी में आ गई है, मेजोरिटी में है. द पार्टी वॉन 364. आई हैव ऑलरेडी टोल्ड यू, out of 489 seats in the Lok Sabha, and finished way ahead of any other challenger. Okay, where the Communist Party of India that came next in terms of seats won only 16 seats, means 64 seats won by the Congress and 16 seats were won by the Communist Party and were the second highest. Okay, so dominance of the Congress was there during the before the independence and after the independence, because he has started, or the party has started the campaign all over the country. The leaders used to visit or tour all over the country with the different or the various methods. Understood? Then the second thing is that I have already told you the communist victory in Kerala. So it was the first time. Then the Congress brought together diverse groups whose interests were often, contradictory. It means he tried, or the party tried, to bring everything, okay, into the existence of the in the public existence or in the public domain. Okay, so the roots of the extraordinary success of the Congress Party go back to the legacy of the freedom struggle, because he struggled. You can understand, the party struggled, okay, for the freedom of India. So it was obvious that if someone worked hard for the country, so they must got the votes, or should come in the power, okay, come into the power. So by the time of independence, the Congress was transformed into a rainbow-like social coalition, broadly, representing India's diversity in terms of classes and caste, religion, and language, and various interests. So I've already told you the nature of Congress dominance was that by the time of independence, the Congress was transformed into the rainbow-like social coalition. Okay, so the party started representing India's diversity. What were the diversity? That was a class diversity, caste diversity, religious diversity, language diversity, and many more diversities were there. Poor, rich, multiple diversities were there. Despite being the party tried to bring everyone on a single platform. So the coalition-like character of Congress give it an unusual strength. So all these things were the major character of Congress, okay, to give it an unusual strength. Understood? You can see here the Congress dominance. There is election 1952 to 1967. It was the dominance of the Congress in whole country. You can see here the various states, everywhere parties dominating. 494 seats, 489 seats, 494 seats. As you know, seats allocation is also dependent upon what? Seats allocation also dependent upon the population of that particular constituency. Understood? Now, the result of election of 1967. So here you can understand about the assembly election results, where this illustrates is not the map drawn to scale, and should not be taken to be the what authentic depiction of India's external boundaries. It means this is also one kind of strength of the nation can be observed. Understood? It means in Lok Sabha, you can see here in the first slide, very first slide. Yeah, here Lok Sabha seats was 489, where Indian National Congress 364. Okay, Indian National IND, the full form of IND, it was independent. Okay, independent 37. CPI, what was the CPI? Communist Party of India. SP, Socialist Party. KMPP, Kisan Mazdoor Praja Party. SWA, Swatantrata Party. PSP, Praja Socialist Party. Then HMS. HMS what? Akhil Bharati Hindu Mahasabha. Understood? So these were the party who secured the seats in the election. So in 1952 it was 364. Then second general election 1957 were 371 seats. Were third general election 1962 it was 361 seats secured by the Indian National Congress. Understood? So this was the situation, and this illustration is not a map drawn to scale and should not be taken to be an authentic depiction of the India's external boundaries. It was just a demarcation purposed for making you understand what was the, because whatever yellow is there, state ruled by the Congress during 1952 to 1967, and the red which is here, that is Kerala. Okay, it is a Democratic Left Front, that is 1957 to 1959, and the blue is Jammu and Kashmir National Conference were there, who ruled there. Understood? Now we must have to understand, and we understood all that thing. Okay, so this is the same here. Congress did not get the majority in the state which is demarcated in the red color. Okay, and the yellow, Congress is in majority. Even he lost the majority in Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, you can see here Punjab, then Rajasthan, even in Kerala, Puducherry, Madras. So the party lost the majority, but the yellow part is the demarcation where they got the majority. Now the tolerance and the management of factions. So, groups within the party with diverse ideologies are called factions. It means groups within party with diverse ideologies are called factions. It means suppose you are from another party and your ideologies are different. Okay, means in the same party the ideologies are different. It means it is called factions. So what is faction? So suppose you all are from the 12th class and I'm asking about the federalism. So the ideology, the definition will be different for all. Okay, because your thinking process, your approach is different than others. So that is called factions. So some of these factions were based on ideological consideration, but very often these factions were rooted in personal ambitions and rivalries. The coalition nature of Congress party tolerated and in fact encouraged various factions. So यूनाइटेड वी स्टैंड डिवाइडेड वी फॉल. आपको पता है कि एकता में क्या है? अखंडता. अखंडता में एकता, एकता में अखंडता, आप जैसे समझ सकते हैं. तो इसमें क्या कहा गया है कि जो कांग्रेस पार्टी की जो विचारधाराएं थी वो बदलने लगी. इससे क्या हुआ कि बहुत सारी चीज़ों में तत्क्षणिक मीन्स इंस्टेंट चेंजेस, spontaneous changes took place, and because of that there is some division started inside the party. Now emergence of opposition party. अगर आप घर की बेदी लंका ढाए, आपने शायद ऐसा मुहावरा सुना होगा कि जिस प्रकार रावण का काल कौन था? राम नहीं था, उसका भाई विभीषण था, क्योंकि राम को तो उतनी जानकारी भी नहीं थी जितना विभीषण के पास था. सो इन द सेम वे कांग्रेस पार्टी को फ्लॉप होने का वजह क्या हो गया कि उनके आइडियोलॉजीज में चेंजेस. और this was the first reason where the opposition parties emerged into the Indian democratic or Indian political system. So the roots of all the non-Congress parties of today's can be traced to one or the other opposition party of the 1950s. मीन्स कहीं ना कहीं वो सारे के सारे कांग्रेस से ही निकलकर वो पार्टी का निर्माण किए. एंड व्हाट वाज द रीज़न? सपोज आई एम पुटिंग माई आइडियोलॉजी, स्टूडेंट्स शुड स्टडी 10 hours daily. Out of 10 students, 5 are agree with me, but other 5 are not agree with me. Means their ideologies are different. Means there is 50-50 condition. So 50% student will follow the ideology and other 50% will not follow the ideology. So they would like to separation. Means they would like separation. So what is separation? They try to form the another party, okay, against the Congress and their ideology. Understood? So the opposition party offered a sustained and often principled criticism the parties and practices of the Congress party. So it was created from the Congress party and they have again started opposing the same party in which they were earlier. Okay. So this was the condition. This kept ruling party under check and often changed the balance of power within the Congress. Understood? So this was the condition. Now we will study about the party. So in the next lecture we will start what was the Socialist Party, what were the Communist Party, Bharatiya Janata Sangh, Swatantra Party, and other things we will study. Understood? So let's revise what we have studied today. So we studied today the very first challenges of building democracy. In that we studied about the literacy rate and the challenges were there. Okay, and elections, first election commissioner, Indian general election of 1951 to 52, vote seats allocation secured by the Congress Party, and changing methods of voting. By 2004, the EVM has been emerged, the electronic voting machine, the condition of Congress, the condition of political parties, general election, first three general election, civil disobedience movement, first three general elections, nature of Congress dominance in that Congress dominance from 1952 to 1967, assembly election results, tolerance and management of factions, emergence of opposition party, etc. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you all are studying well, and let's start once again to your study, and I hope you all will secure good marks if you will study properly with some strategy. So study well. Thank you very much. Thank you once again.